Within these next 10, 11 minutes, I'm going to be sharing with you my blunt thoughts. And I've titled it today, An Impeachment Vote and a Buoyant Cedi, Unpacking the Serpentine Political Conversations in Today's Ghana. An Impeachment Vote and a Buoyant Cedi, Unpacking the Serpentine Political Conversations in Today's Ghana. And I'm sure you know where I'm starting from. Has to do with this situation right here. His Excellency the President, the Vice President, and the Speaker, the three foremost personalities in our country, constitutionally. Let's go to the next slide. Now, there has been an issue in recent times which the minority has touched on. If you follow John Darko, for example, who is the Minority Legal Counsel and MP for Swami, he says, now, Emperor, Mr. President decided that I am the Emperor and I can do what I like, damn the consequences, and left the country. Is that what we elected the president for? To violate our constitution? We'll continue raising these issues, and if necessary, we will invoke impeachment proceedings at the appropriate time. We will not sit idly by while the constitution is violated without consequences. Next slide. He also says when he took the oath of office, he swore to uphold the constitution if he violated it. He must face the consequences. Is he prepared to undergo impeachment? That's a question. These are questions Ghanaians must demand answers to. Next slide. But what does the law say, even before I get into my opinion on this? The president's absence from Ghana, what the Constitution says in Articles 68 and 11. Whenever the president is absent from Ghana or is for any other reason unable to perform the functions of his office, the vice president shall perform the functions of the president until the president returns or is able to perform his functions. Now, where the president and the vice president are both unable to perform the functions of the president, the Speaker of Parliament shall perform those functions until the president or the vice is able to perform those functions or a new president assumes office, as the case may be. Next slide. Now, what are the grounds on which a president may be removed? Article 69 helps us out there. The president shall be removed from office if he is found in accordance with the provisions of this article: A, to have acted in violation of the Constitution; B, to have engaged in stated misbehavior; or C, an inability to perform functions of his office. That's where the mental capacities of the person and all of that come into play. Have any of these been touched on in any case? We'll find out. Next slide. Now, who bears the final power? If you look at Articles 69, 11, and 13, the resolution for the removal from office of the president shall by a secret ballot and shall be taken to be approved by Parliament if supported by the votes of not less than 2/3 of all the members of Parliament after prior debate. Note 2/3. The president shall cease to hold office as president on the date Parliament decides that he be removed from office. He is used generically in the Constitution. It could be she as well. Next slide. But what do the numbers say in Parliament? It is well nigh impossible for this to happen. That's the reality. If you look at getting 2/3 in Parliament and you look at Parliament's composition now, the NDC has 183 seats. The MPP has 88. The other day, Dr. Rashid Tanko Computer was saying it's actually 81 because they are going to contest 7 of those seats. But as of now, it's 88. The independents have 4. And pending, Ablekuma North, 1. Now, 2/3, you'd be looking at that number, 184. But guess what? The NDC alone in Parliament has 183 seats, which makes it mathematically impossible to remove the president given the size of their majority, unless a chunk of them move to the other side. Next slide. Now, even before we get here, I just want to share a few thoughts on this matter of the impeachment. You see, these grounds that have been made mention of, are they enough for an impeachment? Seriously, think about it. I mean, shopping for something to talk about is one thing. Making a mountain out of a molehill is another. Is it something that ought to have been done constitutionally? Yes. Article 68 of our Constitution seeks to avoid any voids, any vacuum in executive power. But it's also just like when our former president, God rest his soul, Jerry John Rawlings, did not deliver a State of the Nation address, not a single one, throughout his democratic tenure, though the 1992 Constitution specifically stated in Article 67 that this ought to be done at the commencement and closure of a parliamentary cycle. Was he impeached for that? Think about it. How about the promotion of proper human sexual rights and Ghanaian family values bill passed by Parliament, which got no assent by former President Akufo-Addo? Per the 1992 Constitution of Ghana, within 7 days of receiving the bill, the President had to inform the Speaker of Parliament whether he assented to it or not, unless the President had referred the bill to the Council of State. As of the time, the former President refused to give his assent to the bill and referred a challenge or made reference to a challenge in court, which, by the way, has now been struck down. And while speaking with members of the diplomatic corps, though at the time he was speaking that evening, there was no such case pending before any court. I heard many people suggest the former president was in breach of our constitution and so he ought to be impeached. How did that end? Can we logically, realistically, impeach our president on such nebulous grounds? What do you think? I mean, there are egregious issues and there are what the French would term faux pas, mild blunders or missteps, which, though they shouldn't have been done, occur through error. Is that something tangible to beat the gong about? I don't think so. But hey, I figure it's just the way we do our politics. I do think Mr. President John Dramani Mahama would be gentlemanly in simply apologizing for the blunder. Whether it was from Dr. Callistus Mahama or whomever, as leader, you take the fall. The approach of the MPP on this matter, however, in pushing for an impeachment, which realistically will go nowhere, by the way, because even if you follow Article 69, I believe 2B of our Constitution, where following from 2A, where the Speaker must then go through the motions and forward this to the judiciary, even looking at the setup, trust me, it's not going to go anywhere. This bit, I feel, is merely to score political points, to beat, strike a certain part of the drum when the political beat it is putting out does not match the dance to be danced. That's what I see. But then I want to wrap up my conversation this morning on the cedi, because it's also come into the fray. Cedi appreciation, dollar, depreciation. What is happening? If you look at 2024 and you look at 2025, the level of depreciation of the Ghana cedi, we're looking at 7.7%. Now we are looking at 5.3%. That's a difference of about what? 2.4% right there. Next slide. There's a certain trajectory. You come to the 2nd of January 2024, the exchange rate was 11.8. That is 11 cedis, 80 pesos to $1 American dollar, or the greenback. Fast forward to somewhere around the 2nd of December 2024, 2nd of November, you were looking at around 16.42. In some instances, people were exchanging it for over 17 cedis. But there it was, the official figure, 16.42. It fell by the 2nd of January 2025 to 14.75 thereabouts. By the 2nd of February, that depreciation that appreciation kept happening. It depreciated a bit. In around April, we had hit 15.505. But now, look at the trajectory. I'll show you in a bit. 2nd May 2025, it had fallen to about 12 cedis and 44 pesos. This is the zigzag puzzle we've had when it comes to our cedi. But what is accounting for it? Next slide. Shall we go to the next slide? The cedi's performance, the level of appreciation this year, 15.6%. And per some estimates, it is the best performing currency in the world. But how does that impact us, the ordinary person, in our pockets? Next slide. When you look at that same chart I showed you a bit, look at the level of, depreciation so far of not just the American dollar, because other currencies have also been impacted, but from 15, the dollar has fallen to 12.44, though I believe there's some, appreciation on the back of that. Next slide. So what they have been saying, the US dollar losing value, dollar weakens as investors seek safety elsewhere. The Wall Street Journal touting that as well. Next slide. But this is where the meat is. Many people are worried about, because if you look at it, these were the tariffs that Trump slapped on China in most of the categories of trade, right? The retaliatory tariff from China was 125%. But we know that in recent times, the two leaders, Xi Jinping, Donald John Trump, have had conversations, and these tariffs have been iced out for a period of 90 days. So now the US, 30%, China, 10%. What will be the impact? Go to the next slide. For the next slide, you then look at the implications. It's going to ease U.S. market uncertainties. There's going to be a surge in U.S. stocks. Mind you, some people were moving away from the dollar and, investing in gold, which also led to a spike in gold prices. Now, gold prices are beginning to fall, and you see the U.S. dollar gaining strength. That would imply a stronger dollar. Could it have an impact on the cedi? Definitely. Next slide. We'll just take a few thoughts on that and wrap up. So the early signs then, it talks about following weekend talks in Geneva, both sides agreeing to those 90-day conditions. Next slide. So we've had the likes of Professor Isaac Buedi, senior lecturer at the UPSA, say the cedi's rebound against the US dollar, which is fueled by gold, debt relief, and a $490 million lifeline, is a welcoming respite. But let's be clear, a weak dollar is not a good strategy. What do you think? Next slide. Again, he says, emerging markets like Ghana cannot outsource our stability to global luck. We need to go beyond what the global economic crisis gives to us and solidify our gains with pragmatic policies and programs. But there are others who don't necessarily agree with him. Let's find out what Dr. Theo Champong also has to say on this matter. Next slide, please. Dr. Theo Champong, economist and political risk analyst, this is what he says. He says, the cedi appreciation is not a fluke, it's not a 9-day wonder, but a reflection of internal interventions by government. And this is where I'm going to leave you, because in the end, there are all these conversations happening. All we want is for the cedi to be stable. But you see, there's something in there. Because some people who are also paid the dollar value or the cedi value of dollars in Ghana, or who are paid in dollars for different reasons, and there are some of those like that, are also bleeding now. Because the value of what they were getting in cedis is now, in dollars actually, is now changing. But whichever way it may be, all we want is for a stable currency, a stable business environment, and for the ordinary Ghanaian to be able to breathe. These are my blunt thoughts, Ghana 4, shared with you. As always, raw, hot, unedited, undiluted. All I pray for is may God bless Ghana and make her great and strong. Thank you for watching.